Nigerian population is over 200 million, and a greater percentage of that population made up of the youth. However, over time, there has been this displeasure of youth involvement or engagement into the mainstream of governance. Hello there. Thank you for joining us on Political Affairs. I will introduce to you my guest in a pretty short while who will look into the engagement and the inclusion of youth in governance. My name is Chris Jacobs. I'll take a short break now. I'll be back in a moment. Join us again. You're welcome back. And if you just joined us, you're watching Political Affairs on Karma TV. I've been joined by Comrade Shehu Yohannah. He is the Vice Chairman, National Youth Council of Nigeria. And he joins me now to further the conversation on youth inclusion in governance. Comrade, it's a pleasure to have you join me.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Political Affairs.
Thank you, sir.
All right, let me start, of course. Let's have a prelude to this discussion. The population of Nigeria is over 200 million, and no doubt a greater percentage of this population are made up of youth.
Exactly.
But over time, there has been this cry of neglect, by those in authority as to neglecting youth in participation or engaging in the mainstream of governance. What do you think could have been the reason for this neglect over time?
Thank you very much, Chris Jacob. And this is a real privilege for me to be on Karma television. Over the years, youth has been relegated from being in power deliberately by our leaders. Before then, youth have been occupying strategic position in governance. More especially if you remember people like Audu Obi, when he graduated in the university at the age of either 29 or 30.
You mean former Minister of
Yes,
Agriculture?
former Minister of Agriculture,
Okay.
former PDP National Chairman. When he graduated, his first point of call to serve this nation was ministerial appointment. He became a minister. If you talk of almost all of them, even Buhari, when he became head of state, he was in his tender age. But now reverse is the case. Our leaders don't want youth to get into politics or to be involved either by appointment or elective. And they are doing this deliberately. They don't want to mentor us.
Okay.
Yes,
When you say it's a deliberate action, some persons now will begin to wonder, how deliberate? Because I know that there's been this saying, youth are the leaders of tomorrow. Is it just a nomenclature where they say it and yet we don't see pragmatic action?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We are just talking about Audu Obe. When Audu Obe served as this minister of power, then it was almost 40 years before he becomes to serve as Minister of Agriculture.
40 years later.
40 years later.
Now, doesn't that speak of recycling?
So what are you thinking? Somebody who is 40, maybe by then when Audu Obe was minister, that person was giving birth. And now he became minister in Buhari first tenure, almost 40 years. The person that was born 40 years now, what is he going to do?
Now, all right, Comrade Shehu, during politicking, youth play a very major role.
Exactly.
Whether it is campaign for a flag bearer of the particular political party or participating, hugely and purposefully in the electoral process. But when it comes to appointment, when it comes to governance, there is a huge gap. You talk about deliberate creation. There is a huge lacuna when it comes to governance and inclusion of this youth in governance. Why is it so? Is it that the youth also do not understand their place in times and season when it comes to either elections and the governance, so that they allow themselves to be used by politicians, and also having known fully well that they may be dumped thereafter when it comes to appointment in governance?
Youth, if we say youth constitute almost 70 to 80% of our population. Because when we say youth, I mean both male and female.
Absolutely.
We are the majority.
Mm.
But the main problem is finance. We are being denied to be either rich. You understand what I mean? So, politics nowadays all about money.
Yeah, you cannot separate politics in Nigeria.
You
from
can't
money.
separate politics and money.
But does that mean the bill, Not Too Young to Run bill, was passed in vain and in futility?
Not in vain. That Not Too Young bill has at least alleviated some youth to be in position today.
Mm.
Some from the State Assembly, National Assembly, even Senate, that young to be bill have assisted. But the problem is how to purchase the nomination form and the interest form. It costs a lot of money.
But there are some political parties that gave a waiver to women, which of course they don't need to pay for the form. It was given to them freely.
Absolutely.
And
it's not that freely. It's not that freely.
Interest form.
Yes, there are interest form, there are nomination form.
Mm.
So you must buy nomination form.
Same amount.
Yeah, same amount. But interest form, some political party like PDP, APC, it is free for you women.
But did they give such waiver to the youth?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Now we also saw that the 2023 general elections, was characterized with a lot of drama. But of course, you cannot completely divorce the fact that youth, of course, participated fully in the election. Let us through the role. Tell us the role that Nigerian youth, played most importantly in the 2023 general election.
Yeah, Nigerian youth have really tried in 2023 election. Both the three leading political party, APC, PDP and Labour. More especially Labour.
Mm.
In fact, it was like a youth movement. Even the APC, youth participated.
Mm.
But to our greatest surprise, when it comes to appointment, ministerial appointment, recently, if you can remember, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu appointed somebody who is about 70 years to be the Minister of Youth and Sport. And they say it's Minister of Youth.
And that is where the concerns are coming from most Nigerians. This is not the first time we've seen Minister for Youth Development,
crossing
the age gap of about 50 years. Or
imagine somebody 70 years to be Minister of Youth Development. After participating, he has been promised a lot of youth. If you can see, some of the ministers are not even old. They are grand, and they have been given ministers.
Do you have a problem?
How can you see somebody who served as a governor for 8 years? After serving as a governor for 8 years, now he's still recycling to become minister. Yeah. Where there are so many qualified youth that have actively participated in that process that brought the person in question. But if issue of appointment comes, they will just relegate youth.
Now, do you have a problem with the portfolio assigned to these ministers at the national level?
Yeah,
first, hold on. Yes, do you have a problem with the portfolio given to these ministers, or you have a problem with the age?
We have general problem with the age.
Okay.
Age bracket, because some of these ministers, when we are in primary school, they are in system. Today we are about 40 years,
and they are still in the system.
They are still in the system. And you are talking of youth are the leaders of tomorrow. How can we be mentored to become leader of tomorrow? You understand what I mean? So there is no way somebody is a minister yesterday, today is a minister, and tomorrow he wants to be a minister.
Well, sometimes.
So what is our own future? What is the future of Nigeria youth?
Sometimes some will say.
Then our future is at stake.
The reason why we see a recycling of these old faces who have been governors before now, or who have been ministers and later governors and now ministers, was because perhaps they might have contributed immensely to the growth of the party, which the issue of money comes in now.
That's what I'm saying earlier. That's what I said earlier. If we are talking of contribution, youth are the major contributor. Because we are when we are talking about population, I said earlier we are about 80%. If it come to vote, all these people, you don't see them participating in voting. It is you that are participating in voting who become who and who become what. But when it comes to appointment or elective position, they will just relegate us.
But that's not to say the Tinubu administration has not appointed young Nigerians into the mainstream of governance.
He has appointed.
Even part of the ministerial list, of course, there are young
There are some
Nigerians.
young.
And also, there are some, agencies who are also giving young Nigerians to head.
But the percentage, we are talking about the percentage. When you appointed about 45 ministers, and you just give youth 3 or 4 slots, the percentage is too limited.
But if this thing has been ongoing before now, what step has the National Youth Council taken to say to correct this as the vice chairman of the National Youth Council
when
of
Mr.
Nigeria?
President appointed somebody at the age of 70 years as the Minister of Youth Development, who took it? We said no. Then now that ministerial appointment he has changed the ministry to him. He has deployed him to another ministry. Now I think there are about 2 or 3 ministerial nominees, which we are thinking and hope that one of them will going to be the Minister of Youth Development, which at least is the 3 ministerial nominees, their age bracket is in between 45 to 50 years.
And you think that's okay?
Yes, that's okay for us, for somebody who is 70 years.
All right. Well, we'll still have a build-up on this, but of course, let's bring the conversation to Adamawa State. And if you look at the governor, Right Honorable Umaru Fintiri, governor of Adamawa State, is within the age bracket of youth. That's right.
Yes.
And also, if you look at the those that constitute the executive council of Adamawa State, predominantly there are new faces. But are you satisfied with the appointment of commissioners, in Adamawa State by Right Honorable Umaru Fintiri?
Yeah, I can say I have satisfied, but in another way, we are not satisfied. Because His Excellency Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri, Right Honorable Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri, when he was campaigning towards 2023 general election, promised you that he was going to carry them along in governance. That's majority of his executive council members were going to be youth, which youth give him massive support and massive vote. But to our greatest surprise, when he appointed commissioners, some of the commissioners are at the age of 70, 80. Go and Google. Some of the commissioners are retired permanent secretary. Some of them are retired lecturers in the university, or some of them are doctors. They have finished their service, now they are commissioners.
All right, let me allow you to catch your breath.
Yes.
We'll be back in just a moment to build on this very tilted conversation that we're having for now. All right, you're watching Political Affairs on Karma TV. We'll take a short break and I'll be back in just a moment. Join us again. You're welcome back, and you're watching Political Affairs on Karma TV. I've been discussing with Comrade Shehu Yohannah, the Vice Chairman, National Youth Council of Nigeria, and we are looking at youth inclusion in mainstream of governance. All right. Before the break, you said you're not satisfied completely, or you're partially not satisfied with the appointment made by Right Honorable Ahmadu Fintiri, the governor of Adamawa State. And your reasons are based on age?
Yeah.
And what again?
Based on age. Because we have a lot of qualified youth up there. You will just appoint youth as senior special assistant on that. In terms of senior special assistant, he has tried.
Okay.
I saw him, he has appointed about 20 or 25 youth as senior special assistant. But when you come about to cabinet, his cabinet, that's the commissioners. I think there are only 2 or 3 people that you can attest to say they are youth. I think one from Demsa, one from Madagali, and the other one is one of these local government, is it Hong or so. These people you can attest to say, see, they are a youth. But most of the commissioner, none of Fintiri commissioner with due respect, that is below 50 years. Some of them are approaching almost 80 years. Some of them, while we are in primary school, some of them are directors in their ministry, some of them are lecturers in the various universities. Today, after finishing primary school, secondary, go through secondary school, graduated from university, they are still our commissioners. And we have youth who are qualified.
But you cannot also completely discard the fact that experience play a major role in governance. Perhaps those persons you tag as aged, to making up the list of commissioners are experienced, and the state need their presence.
If we are talking of experience, how do you be taught to be an experienced man? You must be given an opportunity before you become an experienced somebody. You have to be mentored. You are not given an opportunity to be mentored. If today they give somebody commissioner who is a youth, after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, he will acquire so many experience.
You talked about one has to be mentored.
Exactly.
Are we having problem with mentorship in Nigeria? Whether in politics, particularly in politics, mentorship.
We so much have problem in mentorship, more especially our political elites. They don't want to mentor our youngest one. Their reason is that they don't want to show them the real way. They will only use you and dump you. They will use you either as a talk or as a only personal assistant, this small thing. They will not give you the actual knowledge of how governance.
Then don't you think the youth also are part of the blame? Because if the youth can rally round their own, of course, you talked about making a greater percentage, of the population of Nigeria. If youth can gather, rally support, throw their weight upon a particular fellow youth, you know what the outcome will be.
Exactly. The problem lies sometimes with we the youth. Sometimes, if I or you as a youth, you are vying for a position, they will just give us this, and he doesn't have it. At the end of the day, they will go back to those people that have money.
So money is a factor.
It's a factor.
Okay.
And our elite doesn't want we youth to acquire this money. And sometimes some of the youth can be given an opportunity in government. They will come and do blunders. They want to make money within a shortest time.
But sometimes you of course you talk about mentorship, and most of the politicians are just like what you say, that some of the politicians, not most, the majority anyway, don't like to mentor younger politicians. But also the youth must be ready, but emotionally, psychologically, and otherwise, to grasp that, even when not given to him.
Exactly. There is a saying that says, a patient dog, you understand? But most of our youth are not patient. If you give them a little opportunity, they just want to become millionaire and billionaire.
That quick syndrome.
Yeah.
Quick rich syndrome.
Yeah. So, youth, we have to be patient. We have to follow things accordingly. Be patient, stage by stage. One day, we're going to be there. But most of our youth, even though they give them an opportunity, they will do blunders. You can see, even the governors, so many blunders. So many youth have been given opportunity in this country. But at the end of the day, reverse is the case.
How do we purge the minds or the mindset of Nigerian youth as to, you're not being elected to just make money, you're not...
You are to serve. You are elected to serve. You are appointed to serve people. And you are appointed to make name. A good name is better than silver and gold. If today you are appointed as a commissioner, let's say in Adamawa State Government, be patient, work diligently. So tomorrow, we youth, the youth leaders, when we are talking, people will understand us very well. If today you are appointed as a minister in President Tinubu administration, do well, excel well, then tomorrow it is going to be a point of reference.
But the thing is that not all, I know that before now, our politicians, the likes of Obafemi Awolowo, Ahmadu Bello, and so on, had their prodigies. They mentored, some persons
exactly.
who eventually grew up and fit into the shoes that they had.
Exactly.
But along the line, it dwindles. That spirit of mentorship.
That's a problem. The lack of Aminu Kano, as you are saying. There are people that mentor. Even this former governor of Jigawa, Sule Lamido, was mentored by the like of Aminu Kano. When they are kids, they are just following him. When they are not up to even to vote, but they are just following him because they have that discipline. But our problem is when it comes to the mentor, they are cut off. Because today I will serve somebody as a PA, I will serve him this and that. Tomorrow, if an opportunity was given, he will not look for me to be appointed. You understand what I mean? Remember when Dr. Idi Hong became a minister? It was a mentorship. Dr. Aliu Idi Hong is just a secretary of a political party here in Adamawa State. But because of the way Professor Jibril Aminu mentored him, when an opportunity was given, Professor Jibril Aminu cited him and he excelled well at that point. So that's what we want from our elite. So that they can be mentoring us, not because somebody served you and when an opportunity came, you just go and look for your friend, family, and co. That's the major problem we're facing in this country.
All right, now let's also look at youth restiveness. And sometimes, and I know that it is pretty difficult for the government to satisfy the yearnings and aspirations of youth, which of course make up the majority of the greater percentage. But youth restiveness, what do you think the government, particularly Adamawa State government, should add in terms of social intervention schemes so that the youth can be taken off the streets and be gainfully engaged?
Recently, we are just talking as a group, you leaders, we are talking with the Chief of Staff, President Chief of Staff, Dr. Edgar. Before this recent incident happened, just I think about 1 or 2 weeks before this incident happened, we are talking of youth restiveness. We are talking to him.
When you say incidents, are you referring to the breaking of
yes, warehouses by some tout
right.
and hooligans? So I'm just narrating to him. I say, sir, youth need to be taken care of. Youth need to be gainfully employed. Youth need to be talking to. We you leaders, we are ready to meet our youth from what level, local government level, to say, so we will talk to them on how to behave, on how to be mature, so that tomorrow, as the saying say, youth are the leaders of tomorrow, then that tomorrow will become a leaders. But the problem with the government, there are no political will. You talk, they will not take it seriously. We talk to him. This is our plan. We want to carry a seminar, or like, how do I put it? Not a seminar. We go around the whole state to meet youth where they are. We have so many difference of youth. We have youth astray. We have this thing. We meet them even where they are taking their India hymn. We meet them. What are you getting from taking this India hymn? We ask you. You tell her. Are you thinking if you leave this in doing this, you'll be more than this? Just as a message.
Then what's the response more often like? Do they say the government hasn't created enabling?
They say they want to do it. The government said, but they don't have the political will, because youth need to be. How do I put it? Need to be closer to government, very closer to government. Not this SA. There are so many things. Look at during Admiral Murtala Nyako when he created all this skill, it has helped the youth. So many of our youth are today working with Dangote. So many of our youth are in Abuja, Port Harcourt, because of this.
But sometimes some persons will say, if the government is doing the right thing, there wasn't any need for SA, because I think it was in this. It was 10 years old now, or during Admiral Nyako's regime that was started saying. So if government of the day is doing all it can, enabling, creating an enabling
there are so many ventures that government
so have been any need.
Exactly. The issue of SA is not even. All right. For me, it's not even proper. There are so many things that youth can be engaged in.
Comrade Shehu Yohannah will put a peg on this conversation, but for time constraints, we will just have to drop the anchor on the show today. I want to thank you most sincerely.
Thank you very much for giving me this privilege.
To Political
Thank you,
Affairs.
sir. Thank you, sir.
More.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, youth are not just a foot soldier to politicians. Rather, are they instruments to be used to perpetrate hooliganism at the expense of the peace of the nation. But rather, they are all embodiment of greatness inherently waiting to be tapped into. This is where we drop the anchor of the show today. Join us again same time, same station as we come with a fresh edition of the program. Until then, I remain Chris Jacobs. God bless Nigeria.